came out in 2012 and everyone was like, the game was a direct sequel of Final Fantasy XIII, and while it got positive reviews, people felt so bitter about this game because it was a sequel no one asked for. But even though no one asked for it, 13.2 really tried to improve the things people hated about 13, like throwing the linearity out the window for a more open-world experience and making the gameplay a hell of a lot better. But because Square tried to shove this sequel so hard, it gave off that bad sense of desperation, and even though 13.2 isn't a bad game, in the eyes of most Final Fantasy fans, it's, well, a bad game. Mainly because for what it stands for. But anyway, if you're new to this game, here are a few basic tips, tricks, and heads up for people who don't know about this game. So you play as Noel, a time traveler from the apocalyptic future sent by the gods to save humanity, and frickin' Sarah, Lightning's sister, and nothing else. Now, after the events of 13, Lightning disappears and is sent to a place called Valhalla to fight a dude named Caius who is trying to destroy all of time and space by messing with time travel and all that junk. Being in a sticky situation, Lightning summons Noel and Sarah to jump through time to fix the timeline before things get all freaky funky and mega super deathish. And that is honestly the simplest explanation I can give, kids. Now, I will be frank with this. The game's story is a mess. A total mess. Because the second you throw time travel into the mix, no one is safe. Like, things just kind of swerve over the place, from crazy robots and giant pudding monsters to post-apocalyptic nonsense and time and space and junk and plot holes. Oh my god, there's so many plot holes! Now listen, I like this game, but if you really want to enjoy it, you're gonna have to give up on logic for a little bit. The plot works if you just don't think about it, cause Lord knows none of this crap actually makes sense. Especially with the whole time travel paradox crap and all the timelines and reincarnations and oh god, this is hurting my brain. Oh, turn it off! Oh god, just turn off the game, oh god! But while the story is a pile of poo-poo pancakes, 13.2 is really carried by its characters and their motivations. And some of them are pretty well developed and have lots of depth. Except for Sarah. Do I think she's a poorly written and one-dimensional character? Kinda. Is she the weakest part of this game? Maybe. Was it a terrible idea to make a sequel revolving around someone who's so flat and boring? Possibly. Do I want to see Sarah get hit in the face with a harpoon? Why don't you mind your own business, you nerd? But anyway, the thing is, 13.2's story is a mess, but it's a fun mess. And it can have some really touching and gut-wrenching moments that will make you hate life, so that's something, I guess. Alright, so dumb story aside, 13.2 goes for a really big non-linear approach. From the get-go, you are free to explore all the things, and this game is really big on choices and collectibles. Now, the world is broken up into areas and sections that can be unlocked by finding artifacts, and bringing them to time gates, and bada bada bing, you just unlocked a new location in the fancy smancy Historia Crux. Now, some artifacts are unlocked through the story, and others by just exploring. This game is really big on collecting stuff and all that jazz, so be sure to explore every inch of every area, cause Lord knows if you don't, you're gonna be going back and forth a lot to find junk. Yeah, it's one of those games. Yeah. Now, here's the thing about 13.2. While the game isn't hard to beat / get through, if you want to 100% complete this thing, there is a ton of extra side stuff and collectibles, and it can get a little overwhelming because there's so much stuff to do. Oh dear god, no! So because this game is super non-linear, it took the structure of 13 and kind of set it on fire. And the game introduces a thing called the live trigger, which makes the dialogue choices look like a game of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And no, I am not joking, just look at this crap. I mean, come on, the thing even makes the little noises, it's weird. But the thing is, choices are a big part of this game, and making the right choices can give you little rewards afterwards. Now, the game has a really bad habit of throwing in really goofy dialogue choices like this little precious gem.
You're thinking no one's perfect. I know he has his flaws, and sometimes he makes me so mad, but I love him.
And while that's all fine and good in a ha-ha, yeah, I guess that's a little funny kind of way, certain parts of the game will give you choices that are important to the bosses and the continuation of the story. And pro tip here, pick the semi-dumb options. Now really, 90% of the time, the choices that continue the story is the option you wouldn't think to pick first. It's weird. I have no clue why it does this. The game also has paradox endings once you get a certain item after beating the game, and that will end the game super prematurely if you don't answer the right stuff. but this is New Game Plus stuff. Do you really care about this? There are also QuickTime events and random action sequences that have choices on attacks that can affect certain outcomes, and always choose the frickin' melee attack if it asks, alright? Alright. Okay, so gameplay-wise, 13.2 is very similar to 13, but tweaks a few things. You're still doing the paradigm shifts and whatnot, and I did cover this crap in the original 13 video, so if you want to know about them details, go watch that first. Link in the description below. But anyway, the biggest change in the combat is the use of monsters. And I was not kidding when I said this game is really big on collecting stuff, guys. This crap knows full-on Pokemon. As you go through the game, you'll randomly capture monsters in combat who can be used as a third person in your party. Each monster is limited to one paradigm roll, and you have up to 3 monsters you can switch out during combat. Now, there are a lot of monsters to capture, and you'll be switching out ones frequently. And they don't level up by gaining experience like the main characters do. You gotta get certain items to dump into their level thingies, so keep an eye out for those and stack up, alright? Now, the key to having good monsters is fusing other monsters with it so they can gain levels quicker. It's a little confusing, but it's worth it, trust me. The monsters also have limit breaks that charges during fights. And don't use these things willy-nilly, you dink. Save them for staggered enemies so you can bring the pain. And this is a little side thingy, but hey, you can also customize your beautiful little babies by changing their names and giving them little hats. It's cute as hecky, and my precious little crumpet is the best flying around. Oh my god, look at that little baby, it's so cute! Kupo. You're gonna be hearing this a lot. So Mog is this little dude that's gonna be with you throughout your journey. He's a little cutie, and as you explore areas, he's gonna get blinky when you're near stuff you should check out. So pay attention to this little guy. He also has an ability that reveals stuff to you that you can't normally see. And a lot of the items you need to continue are found with this thing. And there's no limit to the ability, so you might as well do it all the time. And there are these things called fragment skills just chilling in certain areas. And all you have to do is bring them to Choka Boca Frickin' Lena in Serendipity. Now what these doodads do is give you certain skills to make stuff easier, and while they aren't needed, I highly recommend looking into finding some of these things, cause Lord Almighty, there are some sections in this game that are just the worst, and having these things will prevent you from committing seppuku. Alright, so here's some quick tips and things you should probably know before you get started. Don't unlock all of Sarah and No's roles early on. Let a monster fill in the spaces. Switch paradigms at the start of a battle to fill the ATB gauge immediately. The Sentinel role is very important, children. Use it. The Chocobos are the best monsters. Go find a giant chicken, beat it up, and make it yours. Stock up on as many greens and wound potions as possible. Screw this part. Yell at help, you dink. Grinding is gonna happen and you're gonna need it. Just accept it. There are puzzles sometimes. Are they hard? Not really. Why are they here? No freaking clue. No, for reals. This part. Look up the locations of the Gravicore thingies, cause nobody's got time for this crap. So, while 13.2 is a steaming pile of crap when it comes to the story, its fun gameplay, open world, and sympathetic characters make it an enjoyable enough of a sequel for people to not completely dismiss it. And yes, the ending is kind of a big middle finger to players, and yeah, 13 was never really called for a sequel in the first place, but we got it anyway. And for what it's worth, 13.2 tried to fix a lot of 13's original gameplay problems and succeeded in that sense, even if the story got pushed off a cliff somewhere along the way. And I hope this Basics Beginner's Guide makes your gaming experience a little better. So please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Hey, how's it going? Did you like this video? Well, if you did, why don't you go watch another one, you nerd? Also, why don't you go follow me on Twitter and Twitch so you can keep up to date on what's gonna happen next? And a big special thank you to Twitter user Matt and the Cool Jazz for making the Final Fantasy 13-2 buns. If you have any tips for this game or any future games, please leave a comment, tweet me, or send me a message. Later, nerds!